My friend Sam was asking me for some advice on filing a lawsuit against some staff from a prison that he was at prior who went over and beyond the call of duty. And he started talking about how he has a commutation in for a pardon right now, and his hearing should be scheduled within the year, which would be by August. So I felt compelled to put his story out there as soon as possible to see if I could sort of gain maybe some advocacy for him, because he is certainly one that is deserving of a second chance. And even based on statistics, you'll see that it usually comes down to two things where they say the recidivism rate was nearly a miss, and that is if a person has a good support system and the more time they had in prison. Sam has over 20 years in prison, and his support system, that's his family, not just financials, is phenomenal. They stand by him. They're with him every day. Every time I talk to him, they're right there. They're great people, and they love and support him. And his case also is sort of important too, because he was charged with murder, but it's one of those Philadelphia cases again from the early 2000s when there was a lot of corruption. A lot of these cops, the names you'll see, they're familiar. They've been arrested, and his victim was his spouse, who also happened to be a police officer. So the Philadelphia police were out for blood, and unfortunately Sam's blood was it. If you do like his story and you're interested in supporting him, you can reach out to the Board of Pardons, specifically John Johnson. You can email him at JOHJohnson, JOHNSON at PA.gov, or Brandon Flood. His email is BLFlood, FLOOD, at PA.gov, and their phone number is 717-728-0386. Sam, I believe, would be an asset to the community because he is a person that would save lives. He is a mentor and a peer, and you'll see that as he talks.
Uh,
We're still good. It's just a different format.
all right.
And I'm bigger than you. I don't want to be bigger than you. How do I make you bigger than me? Your name is Sam Harper. How long have you been in there?
22 years.
22 years. And what's your total sentence?
My sentence is life without parole, without the possibility of parole.
See, a lot of people, they don't know that. So that's first and foremost.
Pennsylvania is one of the few states where life means life. There's no minimum, there's no maximum for first or second degree murder. So if you got first or second, if you don't get the death penalty, you can automatically expect to die in jail. We call that death by incarceration.
Yeah, after 22 years, that's... No, you want to take us back to that day, in August?
So we go back August 16th, 2003. I'm out on family medical leave because I was the victim of a robbery and shooting in the street, so I was out hurt. I got a broken femur. I got shot in my male private part, so I'm kind of like really twisted. The medication from the hospital isn't working, so now I'm self-medicating with any type of pills I can find, alcohol, cocaine, the whole nine. This particular night, I'm in the street. It's 3-4 o'clock in the morning. My stepson is trying to reach me. I'm not available. So he calls home. He calls my wife, which will later become my victim. My wife calls me and says, Demetrius got robbed and beat up. I need your help. At that particular point in time, when you call me for things like that, I'm coming with one thing: guns blazing. I'm coming to the defense of my son. This was my thinking. Long story short, by the time I got home, it was 4:30. I'm completely incapacitated. I'm high Well, let me stop. Before I get home, I was on the boulevard at my girlfriend's house. When my phone kept ringing, my wife called. I answered the
In
phone.
Philadelphia, right, Sam?
Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I'm on the boulevard.
Okay.
I'm at C in the boulevard when I get the phone call. So after I answer the phone call, my wife tell me what's going on. I tell her I'm on my way. What I ultimately does is I wind up falling back to sleep in the car. The phone ring again. My wife calls back, saying I thought you was coming. Every time the phone rings, I get a brief moment of consciousness. I wakes up. My girlfriend sitting next to me. She sees the phone says home, so she's not going to say anything. She knows it's my wife on the phone. So I said, yeah, what's going on? She said, I told you to meet you tonight. I said, yeah. I'm coming. But I don't have any of my toys on me that I referred to. The toys is I don't have a firearm. So I tell her to get my toys and give them to my neighbor, which is Richard Canfield. Rich will get them to me when I pull up because I can't go up nor down the steps because my hip is broke. My wife gives Rich some guns to get these to my husband when he get here. Phone hang up again. I'm trying to take off. My girlfriend's trying to prevent me from leaving because she see I'm incapacitated. So we fight. I fight with her for the keys. I finally get the keys in my car and I drive to the Sunoco at C in the F in the boulevard. I get in the Sunoco. I'm going to get some tea, some hot tea, to chase down these Xanax that I've just took. I've taken a handful of Xanax. The thought process is when you take pills, you get hot tea and you chase it down.
Right.
To, hurry up and get it in your system. Well, when I go in the Sunoco, apparently I wound up on the floor. One hand I got my phone in my hand, other hand I got a handful of money, and in between my legs I got the coffee pot sitting on the floor. I'm asleep. Somewhere during the middle of me going to sleep in there, somebody came outside and went to the car and asked my girlfriend, was a guy in there, guy with the hat on, so was he with you? She says, yeah. My girlfriend comes, wakes me up, get me above the floor, throw me in the car, drive me back down to her house, which is C in the boulevard again. She's trying to get me to go in the house with her.
What's that?
I'm determined not to go in the house. I know if I go in the house, I'm going to go to sleep. We have one rule in my house that applies to me. I have to be in the house before the sun come up. So I'm not going to no house and fall asleep. I'll be in trouble. Phone ring again. My wife calling. Like, Demetria said, are you coming? Are you coming? Oh, shit. Damn, I forgot. So I'm like, yeah, I'm on my way. When I hang up the phone again, my girlfriend says she's not letting me go nowhere in the condition that I am because I ain't going to do nothing but get myself killed. Well, me calling myself Captain Saver Sucker, I'm going to my son's aid. I'm going one way or another. So we fighting for the wheel of the car. I managed to get control of the car. I beelines from C in the boulevard to Rising Sun and Comedy to my block. When I get to my block, I pull up on the side of my house. I go to park. My wife is supposed to be gone already. My wife was supposed to be on scene to the place where I was going to go and eventually shoot somebody, harm somebody, or whatever. She's supposed to meet me there because when push comes to shove, after I've done all I've done, she was going to be my method of transportation to get out of there. Because, again, she was a Philadelphia police officer. So I get to my block. When I get out the car, I see my motion detector light on. Uncommon because no one's supposed to be in the house. So when I limps up to the house, I see my wife is in the vestibule. She says, I found 3 of the guns. I couldn't find the quarter pounder that you like. The quarter pounder is a little 45 that I always carry. So we exchange kisses. She get in the car and she's leaving. I hops up in the house, go up, find the gun, come back down. As I'm coming back out, I'm looking in front of my door. There are no empty parking spaces, indicating there's none of my vehicles are gone. I got about 8 or 9 cars in front of my door that all belong to me. When I come back out, there's no open spaces. So my wife couldn't have left. I get to my neighbor's house. I asked Rich, I say, where's my wife? He says, she left. I said, driving what? He says, her car. I'm looking. Her car is my car, as well as all the rest of the cars. So I'm looking. I see the car right there. Then I hear this distinct chatter at the corner of my block. I'm only 4 houses from the corner. So I limp down to the corner. It's my wife and my girlfriend. So my wife asked me, Naeem, what's this here? What's going on here? Who is this? Oh, I said, ain't nobody. Nieri, this is my wife, Darlene. Darlene, this is Nieri. I casually introduced her. My wife said, we had an agreement, you don't bring this home, this and this and this and this and that. I said it wasn't like that. That wasn't what was happening. So she stormed off and she's going to the car. She said, I'm leaving. I'm going to the hospital. I said, me too. So I turn around and leave my keys with Nieri, my girlfriend. I'm saying, just take any one of them and go ahead home and I'll see you later. Well, before I could get out of the doorway of the car, I have a gun in my waistband. So then I'm going to get in the car with my wife. I pull the gun out of my waistband and go to decock it so I don't shoot myself. Typical urban fashion, I hold the gun up, decock the hammer, and, as I'm letting it go, I'm ready to secure the weapon and get it moving. Well, the trigger gets away from me because it's a revolver. And when the trigger slips, it says, boom. All you hear is something that says, ouch. Say, ouch. What the hell? It's my wife. So my house is 2-3 doors down from where she got hit at. She goes to the closest place, which is my neighbor's house, the guy that gave me the guns anyway. She's going to his house. She's laying on his floor. I'm administering first aid. I call the cops. Paramedics. I say, I got a 369. That's an off-duty cop. Injured, They say, well, a gunshot wound. They asked me, who was it? I said, I don't know. I just don't make a habit of admitting to anything or confessing to anything where I come from. So I'm applying first aid, holding the towels, holding on over the wound, trying to wait for the paramedics or the EMS to get there. While I'm on the phone there, I had the same gun sitting on the floor, and then I've taken it out of my pants. So my neighbor, the guy Rich, said, well, what do you want me to do with this? I look. Immediately, I have a moment of consciousness again. Well, we got an off-duty cop right here with a gunshot wound. We got the cops on the way. He's a white guy. I'm a black guy. I know enough to say, get rid of this shit. I don't want this gun here on the floor and the police coming in here. That's not going to end well. Rich take the gun along with the other guns and go put them up in the basement. Put them away. The paramedics finally get there. They take over. I go outside and sit on the step. I got a white T-shirt on, full of blood. I got a pair of shorts on, full of blood. My sneakers and my jacket, and I'm sitting on the step. The cops come in. They do what they do. EMS come in. I'm still on the step. By then, one of the cops came back out. Now, this cop was at my house several months prior to this with the SWAT team looking for me for a warrant that wound up becoming unfounded. But the officer is familiar with who I am, as well as my wife, which is the officer that lives at this residence. So he sends them back outside and says, take me into custody. They immediately handcuff me, put me in a wagon. They take only thing they take is my keys. They don't take my phone. They take my money, and I got 31 bags of cocaine in my pocket. Well, as they say, 31 purple colored bags, rated for positive for cocaine. They take the cocaine and they take my money, but they leave my phone. I got a Nextel I-85 phone on my hip. The whole time, en route from Rising Sun and Comedy to the 15th District at Harbison and Levick, I'm on the phone now. The hiding immediately wore off. I'm about as sober as I could possibly be, and I'm cognizant. I'm calling my grandmother. I tell her what's going on. I call my neighbor at the corner of my block. I asked him what's going on out there the whole night because I'm in the wagon on my way to the police station. They're lollygagging with her on a stretcher, trying to get her to make a dying declaration. Long story short, by the time I get to Harbison and Levick, I hear the radio chat that says, take him to PAB, which is Police Administration Building, 8th and Reese. She got the Einstein, and before she could get to Einstein, she had already passed from her injury, the one gunshot wound.
So you didn't make a dying declaration?
The dying declaration was, according to their paper, the paramedic, one of the cops said, well, what happened, this and this and this. Oh, no, excuse me. She said to one of the EMTs, why did my husband try to kill me? Or she said, why did my husband shoot me? They said we were fighting and we were having a domestic dispute. If we were fighting and we was going through whatever we was going through, the last person that would ask somebody why did so-and-so happen would be her, because she knew what would happen, and she would have said, my husband did this because of so-and-so, so-and-so. But this is a narration from many different stories where they're trying to string them together.
Right.
One EMS said this, the other one said he didn't hear that. The firefighter guy said, well, he just saw them talking. But the other guy said when they got on scene, she was flailing, she was gargling, she was gasping for air. So how can she possibly be talking? So when it came down, one of the cops, the responding officers, he was the guy that I said that hit my house in April with the SWAT team, Kenneth Rossiter. He told my victim in April when the SWAT team hit my house, he said, tell me where you at, what's going on, what are you doing, this and this, and she wouldn't divulge any information. He wasn't, he didn't take too fond of that. So he told her, he said, this guy's going to be the cause of the death for you one day, first time he ever knew my name, ever heard her. But he said I was going to be the cause of the death for her one day. 4 months later, we have a fatality, we have a gunshot, and he's the first on scene, he's the lead detective. So from that moment on, he already got his mind made up how he's going to play this narrative.
Right.
They took the cocaine from me. They took my money from me. They never gave me a drug case. They never gave me a urine. They never took no blood from me. They never charged me, with anything except for the murder. Fast forward, go to trial.
Hold on, Sam.
Teddy,
Hey,
mute your phone, Teddy.
Teddy,
Mute your phone, Teddy.
Mute your phone.
So, Theodore.
Yeah, I'm here, bro.
Mute your phone.
Every time you make a sound, your thing pops up.
Mute your phone.
Oh shit, my fault.
It's all right, bro.
So now the whole time, the deck was set from the beginning. The witnesses, I had 2 witnesses that they threatened to arrest and incarcerate if they didn't testify. They wound up having to chase these 2 people down, like a lady named Courtney Henry and Helen Henry. They was trying not to testify because they wasn't saying, these are my neighbors as well. They wasn't willing to say what the police wanted them to say. Eventually, they got bench warrants and went back out there and started knocking.
Sam, what all police were involved at this point?
I got Kenneth Rossiter.
This was at a time when Philadelphia was riddled with corrupt police officers. So I'm trying to see if some of them were these.
On my list, I have Kenneth Rossiter. I have Philip Rill. I have Paul Cassidy. I have James Pitt, who was the latest one just to get convicted.
Mm-hmm.
I have John Bell. I have Richard Duvier. Out of the whole list of like the 100 and something do not call, I know for a fact I have 8 of these officers in my case, be it directly or indirectly.
Now, when you say do not call, you talking about do not call to testify because they're known for falsifying records, lying on the stand, right? You're talking about that.
Falsifying records, lying on the stand, accused of misconduct, doing multiple things in contrast to what they were hired to do. So the district attorney's office didn't want to put the cases in jeopardy, so they said do not call any of these officers that's on this list because they have stained the department in some form or fashion.
It makes sense now. It's all adding up. All right, continue.
So I go to trial. Well, I'm sitting. I get locked up August of 03. Probably December 04, we getting ready for trial. I'm finally able to get rid of court-appointed counsel and retain private counsel. Now, my trial date is less than 60 days away. So I get new counsel, Kathleen Martin, Robert Levant, and Alan Tolbert. They go to the judge and ask for a continuance so they can properly prepare for this death penalty qualifying case. The judge says, continuation denied, we're going to trial on schedule. Win, lose, or draw. That's less than 60 days away. I was actually on trial during the Eagles Super Bowl run in 2005. Again, I didn't have a fair day. I had one of the witnesses that testified against me. Her name was Officer Victoria Phillips. when she testified in a non-official capacity, but as a good friend of the victims. Though she was testifying in the civilian forum, they made sure to let the jury know she was a cop, and her and the victim did work together at times, thereby lending credence and credence to what she was saying. She said my victim was leaving. My case is a result of infidelity. She was leaving me. She was going to get a house, and so forth and so forth. None of these things were proven, nor could have been substantiated, and it was physically impossible for her to get anything. Her credit was in the dirt, was in the mud. Everything we owned together, it rode on my back. So that didn't add up. But the detective James Pitts, the one that just got convicted, from start to finish, unbeknownst to me, is that he was cheating from day one. When he took her statement shortly after my arrest, they had already colluded to come up with whatever plan they were going to come up with to make sure I didn't penetrate this blue wall, of silence. I wouldn't be victorious. I would not get acquitted, and that I would not walk the streets of Philadelphia again. If not, receive the death penalty. So I didn't know this man had a practice of cheating and lying until some 15, 20 years later, when all this information started to come out with all the dirty and corrupt cops, and now it starts to make sense. I wonder why was Vicki Phillips lying in the manner in which she was lying. You follow me?
Right. You don't expect a cop to be, lying. You expect a cop to be there to protect and serve.
Then I come to find out, by way of a report I got, probably late last year, called New York State University did a report and a study on the prosecutorial misconduct of the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office. This 183-page report was just mind-blowing. And the whole time, I thought my district attorney was a relatively new guy to the area, unbeknownst to me. When I read this report with this guy, he's been engaging in Brady violations for the past 20 years.
Yeah.
A Brady violation is when you knowingly hold exculpatory evidence. Under Merlin v. Brady, when there's evidence that the prosecution hold, whether they think it's beneficial or not, they have to disclose it to the defense. This man was deliberately and wantonly holding this type of information. Then during the closing arguments in my trial, he advanced a false motive, and he committed fraud on the court and fraud by the court, because he said that I tricked my victim to take property out of her name and put in my name, thereby indicating that I would profit from my crime. I couldn't fathom where he got that from, and we were never allowed to challenge that. Despite City Hall record room 285 is a block away from CJC Center, where you could have looked up the deed to my house and see this is fraudulent. The judge just overlooked it, and we never got a chance to question it nor challenge it. That was a bold-faced lie. The property located at 5957 Bigham Street is owned by one Samuel D. Harper, which is myself. My name is the only name that has ever been on that deed. But to the jury, the people that don't know no better, the district attorney said what he said, they believe it. This officer said what she said, they believed it. It was never a whodunit in terms of my case or what happened. I am directly or indirectly, I am responsible for the passing of my victims / my wife's life. I make no qualms about that. I am responsible. In the manner in which they said it was, that is the furthest thing from the truth. So initially, like I said, they started off going for a crime of passion, 3rd degree. I couldn't fight it. I wouldn't smear her name, and they wanted me to say this and say this. I just wasn't going to do it. I was going to let the chips fall the way they fell. I figured that it would be some sense of, honesty to it. Like, you got me red-handed. I am here. I'm a convicted felon in possession of a firearm which I'm not supposed to own. I'm here. My victim is deceased. It's me and her. The other guy, the white guy, he turned witness, so they're not going to say it's him. No one else knows that there's anyone else there, so it's me and her. He was in the house. There ain't too much else I can say, but yeah, I'm responsible. We're going for an accidental shooting. So they said crime of passion because my wife confronted my girlfriend and I chose my girlfriend over my wife. If that was the case, it's still a crime of passion.
Right.
How we wound up going for a death penalty hearing. They served me a death penalty notice um, probably 9 months in. 8 or 9 months after already being detained, I got a death penalty notice. When I got the letter that said a 352 notice, I thought that was a lottery. Come to find out, that's a death penalty notice. So
Yeah.
uh, we go to trial. My verdict come back in what seems like under 2 hours. So wasn't a whole lot of thought. I mean, that was a bad time in Philadelphia for anybody to be accused of anything against a police officer because it was just a bad climate for law enforcement. My verdict came right back instantaneously. So now we move on to the penalty phase. Uh, the Honorable Judge Jane Cutler Greenspan said we was going to take a recess and come back after lunch and move to the penalty phase. I didn't want to put my mom or my family through that. And like how fast this verdict came back, I didn't want to gamble with my life and go into a penalty phase hearing and receive the death penalty just as fast. So I did what they call an acceptance. I'm going to take this plea in exchange to waive my rights and just keep it moving and live to fight another day. That was on February the 16th of 2005. The 17th, 18th, and 19th, I got a cell phone in the county jail, so I'm talking to my family, my people. So I had to learn some other information that I didn't know before. I didn't know they threatened to lock these two witnesses up to make them testify. I didn't know that they intimidated the witnesses outside the courtroom. The police department, all the officers threatening them with witnesses, wanting to fight them and the whole nine. So after I learned all the information I learned, I put a letter in to rescind my agreement and go back to the point of error, or the point where we stopped at. So I should have came back, rescinded my agreement, and proceeded to my penalty phase, and kept going. I put that in February the 24th. They never acknowledged it. Around April, the end of April, I filed a notice of appeal. They sent the notice back saying denied my appeal. My time for appeal has passed. Which in reality, it should have came back and said I had no appellate rights because I waived them in exchange for the state not to seek the penalty. But it came back and said my time frame for filing appeal, 30 days, has passed. And they said by way of operation of law, after 90 days, I should have deemed it denied. I didn't know this. I wasn't no lawyer. I was a truck driver. So I fought that tooth and nail. I went all the way on a writ of mandamus, and they made them answer. And when it came back, they said they never answered that because I failed to serve the clerk of courts. Though I served the judge, I served one to the judge's chambers, and I served one to the district attorney's office. Now, when I say I have served one, this was my friends in my best interest, Monica Rodriguez and my friend William Thompson. Me personally, I was locked in a cell under 23 and 1, waiting to be transported to the State Correctional Institution at Camp Hill as a newly convicted lifer. We don't get to go out to and from. And it was a holiday weekend, so I was stuck in a cell. I had this done by way of a telephone, and my people mailed it for me and sent it certified mail. But for like 6, 7, 8 years, they refused to acknowledge it and denied it until I finally filed a writ. After the writ of mandamus, they denied it. I filed a federal hate. And when I presented the certified mail receipts showing it was the seals was clear, the dates was legible. Once they read that and got it, they said it was denied because I did not serve the clerk of courts. And I like to think that was exigent circumstances. I was locked in the cell 23 and 1.
Well, I mean, I know, and I've read several cases, especially when you're pro se, if you file something with a judge, the judge is then supposed to file it with the clerk or then forward it to. I mean, in fact, there's even a statute where even if you file it in the wrong court, they're supposed to do something what's called like a transfer of jurisdiction, where they'll say,
Sure.
You're pro se, this is the wrong court. By this statute, we're transferring it to the correct court, which is this court on the other side of Pennsylvania. It'll be there. They'll answer you. So for them to even do that, that's Philadelphia, man.
And like that, my victim was a Philadelphia police officer.
Right.
Like at all costs, they was determined not to let, in their mind, me get away with this or this go unpunished to the fullest extent of the law. And it didn't matter to what degree it was. They were looking for what they were looking for, which was a death penalty qualifying case.
Right.
And, so now come February the 5th, I had to get a newspaper article that says Officer James Pitts convicted of perjury. Perjury? That's lying.
Right.
Well, lo and behold, and now he's in this web. Now it all starts to make sense. Him, Officer Phillips, the district attorney Ed Cameron, he's deceased now, so it would be him. Officer Pitts is disgraced and going to jail, so I'm left to fight a battle, by myself now. But the record speaks for itself. He's convicted of perjury.
Right.
Officer Victoria Phillips, I don't know what became of her, if she retired or what, where, and when.
Did you file an appeal yet? What where you at with that?
I'm currently in the process of litigate a PCRA now. I'm trying to get all my information together, get my notes of testimony, get my documents ready, and move to court via a PCRA, Post Conviction Hearing Relief Act.
Have they given you your transcripts and discovery?
I've had my transcripts and my discovery for some time. Yeah. But at that time,
Go ahead. I was going to say in Pennsylvania. Go ahead, Sam.
It seemed like every time I tried to enter into a door, they closed it on me. They slammed it. They closed. They said like I was what you call locked in. Just no matter how many good issues I had, how many relevant issues I had, they were determined not to let me in. This is viewed as quote unquote, the way the newspaper put it, city sanitation worker kills cop killed by husband. It didn't mention nothing about accidental, no crime of passion, no nothing. They just went gung-ho from the door. And this is the way they treated it. My judge, she went up to the Superior Court off of my case. The cop, Philip Rill, he went to head of homicide. My district attorney, he went to head of the homicides unit and the district attorney's unit. So everybody got a promotion, like a boy, for a good job well done, whether it was fraudulent or not.
It's safe to say, Sam, at this time, 2005, a cop being allegedly murdered, that's a big case. So obviously judges, DAs, they sort of want to insert themselves in this case because a promotion comes with the conviction, right?
Well, they definitely did that. They inserted themselves and they all got promotions.
Yeah, I see it all the time, man. I've been trying to explain this to people. People don't understand, and especially in Pennsylvania, there's no cameras allowed in the court. There's no recordings allowed in the court. So this happens, and there's transcripts get altered. It's a shame, and then they come out with that PCRA Act, which says, you got 12 months to get your shit together, learn the law, and appeal, and file an appeal. It
wasn't always 12 months. This 12 months we got, it was just a new law recently. It was 60 days before. Like you had to keep something going. So we just got this year back.
You're talking about under the newly discovered evidence. I was talking in general, the PCRA Act in general. But yeah, with your thing, you're right. Well, as you learn of, a cop being crooked, you had 60 days to file it. But then there was a case law that came out and said if you're incarcerated, you don't have the same resources as a person on the street, so you should be entitled to 1 year.
Right.
And still, same thing. So you learn of something, you got 1 year, try to find a lawyer. And I mean, a lot of people, like you 20 some years in, you got to try to find someone to help.
And all my family is deceased and gone and dead. I'm short of 60 years of age. All my family is gone. And for the past 22 years, I've been just litigating this pro se on my own while trying to keep my head above water and keep myself in a fighting position. and be able to have a shot. I've acquired cancer. I'm on my second bout with cancer. Now I got prostate cancer. Prior to that, I had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Now I'm ready to start radiation treatment probably sometime this week for prostate cancer. So, on top of all this and trying to maintain, I've continuously tried to, to grow, to rehabilitate myself. I've taken all programs that were available to me and any other program that I could get into that would, put me in a better situation and show that even though I went home with good intentions, I had the wrong act. And I'm no longer the man I am that I was then. You follow me?
Right.
I make no mistakes. I make no crimes for it. God knows there was nothing worse than, losing my best friend, my wife. So I've suffered twice over. I've lost my wife and I've lost my life.
Damn, 20 years. I mean, I got close. I got over a decade in, and I remember after it was like 7 years that it really hit me in my mind and my mentality, the change. And I mean, 20 years. You were my age when you went in, so I can only imagine you have to be like a completely different person at this time. It's
for sure. I came to jail as a truck driver.
And now you got your license as a barber? Yeah, right.
No, I went from a barber student to a barber manager. Now I am a barber teacher. My plan is to come home and open up a barber school. And every semester send one student to school for free in memory of my victim. She was an educator. She liked to see people learn. So that's my way of giving back. And I try to encourage the young ones to put down the guns in the packs, pick up a clipper and a cake. Like I like to think I can still make a contribution to society. So this is what I do now. I'm a peer mentor. I mentor a lot of the younger guys coming in. God knows we need it. We're in a bad state. So whatever I can do, man, to try to make my pros outweigh my cons, this is what I do today.
Right. Yeah, that's why I like you, Sam, because not too many people are doing that. And I mean, when I was in there, I remember that bus pulling in, and it was just a bunch of young kids coming in with sentences of life without parole because they're out here playing with these guns. They're out here committing murder. They're murdering each other. And it's people like you who stop them as they're coming in and say, listen, this is an alternative. And even the young guys coming in for drugs, listen, here's an alternative. It's a lot of people didn't have that out here. They didn't know of an alternative.
Let me take this opportunity to say this. We have a movement. We have a couple seniors, elderly guys my age. We have a movement, and one in particular you can find on Instagram at MattRaw_1980, change.org. It's a petition, but we're trying to, fight for the people to get our life back, to get a second chance. They have a geriatric release bill coming up. They have a second degree bill coming up. You got people doing life in jail for just merely sitting in a car or riding along the street with somebody, not being a person to pull the trigger, wasn't around when it happened because they rode in the car together. You got people doing life in jail. It makes no sense.
I know of a couple ladies in prison right now. There's one who I think she has 40 years in, and she was a lookout for her brother. And he went to a store, and I don't remember if it was the brother or the brother's friend, but they killed somebody in the store. And this young girl, I think she was a juvenile too. She got life without parole because she was looking out for her brother. And she's not the only one. There's a few girls in there. I mean, they're grown women now. And then same thing in the male prison. It's called second degree murder.
For sure, felony murder. Yeah. Pennsylvania has more people in life in Pennsylvania than they do per capita in the world. Go figure.
Right.
And we call ourselves a developed nation. It costs more to house this geriatric prisoner such as myself. At this stage in the game, we're no longer a threat to society. We can't even harm ourselves, let alone nobody else. And we can only do one thing, either aid and give back or lay down and die. Like, we too old and frail to do anything else, but they rather keep us, in jail at exuberant medical costs. And just we're drained on the state.
Let me say, if you were to get out today, and I know your wife, I know your family, what would you what's your goal? What's your plan? What would be your plan from day 1 to day 100?
Barber school. In the communities, what they got now that they didn't have when I came to jail, they got a lot of rec centers, after school programs, and they open at night to try to get the kids off the street. We need people going in there. Like, it's one thing to tell it to somebody and they thinking you just speaking from a book, as opposed to they know you coming from where they coming from. They're more likely to listen. You're more likely to be able to engage them. And I'm saying, shorty, listen, this ain't what you want. I'm 58 years old and I've spent over half my life behind these bars. This isn't it. And I had to beg, fight, and crawl to get a piece of my life back, just so I can keep somebody like you or someone else from making the mistakes I made. Or not necessarily mistakes, just the bad, decisions that I made. That we thought was hidden, that was cool at one point in time. I'm telling you, man, it ain't. This ain't it. This is not what you want. So, and giving them that advice, you have to give somebody something else to hold on to, though. I can't tell you to put that pack down, and don't feed yourself. So when I tell you to put that down, that pack, I'm saying, pick up these clippers, pick up this cape. Let me show you how to get this to a bag legally. One that you can feed your family with, man. You know what I mean?
So I mean, it would the thing that I'm thinking of is, and I don't know if anybody else has thought about this, but it's people like you who have all this time in, if to get out, to get a second chance, I'm certain that there are people, you would at least touch the lives of at least one person, if not multiple. So you'd be saving at least one life. You'd be giving your life, all your experience and knowledge that you've learned in there to over 20 years to somebody else. That almost seems beneficial. I mean,
so that means two. I save myself and I save someone else.
Right.
That's a plus. At the rate we going now, any life saved is like, it's a plus, man.
I would like the computation board to consider things like this. They're making their decisions off of paperwork, and they're not coming to see people. They're not coming to pull you in, to interview you, to ask you something. I mean,
speaking of commutation, I can use support letters because I have a hearing coming up, and I have a commutation application on file. I can use support letters. I'm trying to show that, again, I'm not the man I was 20, 25, 23 years ago.
It's in August, right?
August would be a year, and they said within a year I would have my hearing. So this is what I'm waiting for.
So if somebody wanted to put in a letter for you, or say, hey, I'm this guy, I could use a barber teacher out here. We could use somebody like this in the community. Sure. How would they go about? Who would they email?
John Johnson at pa.gov. John is spelled Joh. Johnson at pa.gov. He's my case specialist under the Board of Pardons and Commutation.
Has he come to meet you? Has he talked to you at all?
No, they don't. They don't come to meet you. But if you'd like to find out more information about my commutation process, go on Instagram and look me up at Naim the Barber 67. Naim is spelled Naym, the Barber 67. And you can see my commutation plan, my profile. Tell you who I am, what I do, and what I hope to achieve in the near future, as well as what I got to give back. Like, I'm just not asking for something. I'm coming with something in the other hand. It's my obligation to teach one. Each one teach one. Like, I did enough harm in my life. I got to get somebody and help somebody, pull somebody up. This is what we do.
Right.
We gotta pull each other up. So that's where we at with it, man. I've been in the mountains for 20 years. I'm at SCI Chester now. I'm closer to the city in hopes of being able to meet a few people, do some things, and build a coalition, where we can all, try to help out, do our fair share. We got to get our kids, our babies.
You got a good support system. I met your wife, your what was that? Your nephew? Teddy's your nephew, Theodore?
That's my nephew, Theodore.
He's a good guy, man. These are good people, and they got your best interest in heart. People like that, they ain't gonna let you slip. And I mean, it's family. Family, y'all need to be together.
22 years with a foot on your neck, I'm not gonna let me slip. You follow me? And my mind is focused on one thing. A quality of life, or whatever life I got left, I want to use it, to make my pros outweigh my cons again. I don't want to be known as the old head guy that killed this officer or killed this or killed this. I want to be known as the old head guy that, that guy taught me how to cut. That guy gave me a trade. That guy helped me feed my family. Like, that guy stopped me from going back to jail or gave me something, conducive that I could use. That's what I want to be known for. I want my pros to outweigh my cons.
That's the transition. A lot of people don't hit that moment in life or in their incarceration where it's like, oh damn, you know what? I did make a mistake. Now I gotta make amends for that, and the best way to do that is by doing this or helping somebody take a life, save a life.
For sure. Save 2 or 3.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's my commitment.
Right. I know you're sincere, Sam.
My guy Theodore gonna help me. I got a few people helping me. We're gonna get it together. We're gonna put a plan together.
And you know it.
And tomorrow I'm coming with another one. Matt Ron _ 1980 at change.org. He's coming to a theater near you tomorrow.
Yeah, just let me know, Mark. I'm ready.
And Theodore, you're an example. You're an example of a changed life out there barbecuing.
For sure. So,
Theodore, you barbecuing today?
Nah, I was thinking about it, but it can't decide whether or not it wants to rain or not.
I know. I'm seeing it out my window too.
Yeah,
they say for the next 4 or 5 days it's gonna rain.
Is it?
I'm gonna throw some fish fillets in the oven and see how they turn out, man. I got some jalapeno peppers and some banana peppers. Thinking about trying to whip something up, make a nice little fish sandwich or something.
And you know what I got for dinner? I got a bologna sandwich that's about a 1/4 inch thick. Bologna sandwich, no onions, 1 pack of mustard, 1 mayonnaise. That's what I got for dinner.
That's right. It's Sunday.
I'm trying to tell these youngins, man, don't pay a lot for this muffler. There's nothing cool about this, man. I'm looking at them videos and Lil Durk and Yeezy and Deezy and all them other. I'm telling you, this ain't it, man.
Hell no.
Yeah, man.
I try to tell my nephew all the time, man. My nephews all the time, man. I'm like, man, y'all keep on wanting to act like y'all want to be gangster and shit like that, nigga. You gonna be in that cell crying like a motherfucker. You better listen.
Well,
you gonna be in that.
I had one thing that gave me some hope, man. When I look at the